Hey, OVM family, it's Linda Lorelle. Um, this is definitely not the podcast that I thought I would be starting the new year with, but it is definitely the one that I feel compelled to do. Today's January 2nd. Woke up, picked up my phone, saw a tweet from a new friend and a former podcast guest. And in this tweet, she talks about how on the last day of 2020, she was assaulted. Basically, someone walked up to her and put his hands in her afro and grabbed her scalp. And then when she reacted and defended herself, he called her a bitch. So that's how 2020 ended for her. And I can only imagine the rage and the anger and so many other words that she must have felt and must still be feeling, because I'm feeling that right now. And it didn't happen to me. Didn't happen to me, but it happened to her. Could have happened to any of us. So I was so I can't even come up with the words, and you're going to have to forgive me for just letting my stream of consciousness go here. And clearly, I just felt the need to kind of get this out off my chest. So, um, so hard to believe that in now the year 2021, that we are still not seeing each other as the human beings that we are and not respecting each other for that. Um, the tagline of this podcast is, well, there are a couple, but the one that um, I'm thinking of right now is that I try to have intimate conversations that remind us of our common humanity. I had a conversation with this young woman by the way, her name is Cam Franklin. She happens to be a brilliant um, music artist. She has appeared along with her band, The Suffers, on Jimmy Kimmel Live and David Letterman and The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. She's Houston based. And aside from her musical talent, she's a stellar human being. The title of the podcast that I did with her is called Leading with Love. And that came as a direct quote from something that she said during our interview. When I read her tweet this morning, I something in me, it's almost like something in me snapped. And that's when I just decided to throw on a t-shirt and a hat and come talk it out with all of you. So, intimate conversations to remind us of our common humanity. I don't know what it's going to take for us to finally get there. It's a journey for sure. In recent months, I've been having some really interesting conversations, actually, in my work as a result of all the social unrest and the social justice protests and talk about racism. And there are major corporations, I'm happy to say, that are taking these conversations about race seriously. And I've had the privilege of having some conversations with employees of companies that have decided that it's time for them to really um, do business differently. And part of that is, taking the whole D&I mantra, diversity and inclusion, or DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, taking that to another level. And it's one that involves having real conversation about what it's like for people of color to live and work in this world that we have created. And one of the things we talk about is microaggressions. And Cam, actually, in her tweet, called this a microaggression. Someone, I mean, she also said it was an assault, because clearly it was. But, and then she said, I can't count the number of times that this has happened to me, where someone literally has walked up to her, put their hands on her body, and said whatever it is the hell they want to say, and do whatever it is the hell they want to do, and think that that's okay. It's not. It is not okay. It is not okay to disrespect another human being to the point where you can't even respect their physical boundaries, where you can't respect the fact that they have as much of a right to inherit and inhabit this earth as you do. So where does all of this shit come from? Where does it come from? And what do we have to do? What can we do to dig beneath the surface, rip this scab off once and for all, and finally start to heal? At the end of last year, or actually right after the election, the day after the election, I posted a brief sort of reaction, response, etc. And it has become one of the taglines now for our Voices Matter podcast. And that is that the path forward is empathy. The path forward is empathy. That we have to have, or find a way to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and try to understand what their perspective is. So that means that the person that did this to Cam needs to be able to put himself in her shoes and think about how he would respond, react, feel if someone walked up to him and grabbed him by the crotch, let's say, or wanted to touch his hair and just see what it feels like. How would he respond? Conversely, as difficult as it is for the one who has had this happen to her to try and put herself in the shoes of the man who did this to her and say, what are you thinking and feeling that allows you to believe that you can do this to another person? Did someone do this to you? So, hurt people, right? Okay, so we know that. But it's the cycle of abuse. You can get out of that. It takes work. And that's kind of where we are. We're in a cycle of abusing each other's humanity. So now we're in 2021. I spent the whole day yesterday, January 1st, on a seminar, it was called Growth Day. And it was a bunch of really inspiring, inspirational leaders and coaches talking about how we can grow um, as human beings, um, what we can do to create the life that we want to live. And I felt so empowered and inspired and really ready to hit the ground running. And I've been giving a lot of thought to how I can use my voice, um, my skills as a communicator and a journalist, to further this conversation and to help remind us of our common humanity. And then I woke up this morning and I read Cam's tweet, and it felt like a punch in the gut. It felt like a punch in the gut. So, what it means is that we have so much more work to do. We have so much work to do. And I'm asking anyone who sees and hears this to please understand that Black people are human. Immigrants are human. Native Americans are human. White people are human. Hispanics are human. We all want the same thing. Why is this so difficult? Why is this so difficult? So here we go. I'm asking you to please have conversations with people who don't look like you, think like you, pray like you, love like you, act like you. And try to come from a place of love and understanding and curiosity. If you don't know, so much of this is just pure ignorance. So much of this hatred is just not knowing. It's the assumption that you make. It's what you've been taught. It's what you've been taught. We don't pop out of the womb hating. We are taught to hate. We can be taught to love. So let's make 2021 the year where we really embrace that and we really do it. Do the work. Do the work. And it starts with each one of us. It starts with each one of us recognizing that each one of us has the right to be here and to exist and to have a life of meaning. And yes, a life filled with love. Just talk to each other, please. Not at each other, not around each other, not shouting. Talk and listen. Listen. Listen to someone else's lived experience, and when they share it with you, believe them. We're not making this shit up. This happens every damn day. I just hope that you will engage in this journey with me, with us. It's going to take all of us. Um, I'd love to hear what you think, how we move forward. Empathy is definitely at the core, I believe. Empathy, respect for our fellow humans. Happy New Year.